My mother is dead. She'd been in intensive care for weeks. It's okay. I'm over it. Well, I'm not. I'm here, clearing out her flat. I've been putting it off. Council's telling me to get a move on. Death moves so fast. Bit messy. Mum was all about the chaos, including emotional. There's always something going on. Some drama, situation, something. But she was the best mum in the world. I had green thumbs, she said. It's true. Anything I planted grew. Mum preferred bulbs. They were easy. But I always felt there was a gardener in her, struggling to get out. It's so odd. Death, isn't it? Where is she? Seems like she ought to be here. In the kitchen making puddings. In the living room chatting on the phone. She'd love to talk. Or in the bedroom with a pile of newspapers. She was always clipping articles. I never knew why. Anyway, I'm hoping this whole process will give me some closure. Not handling it too well, to be honest. Found these on the couch, wrapped in newspaper, her bulbs. Every year she'd buy some from the local garden shop. She'd wrap them in newspaper and stash them somewhere. Come planting time, she'd place them in a bowl full of pebbles with some water. Paper white, she'd call them, kind of daffodil. And every so often, she'd pour a glass of vodka over them to keep them from getting leggy, she said. In a few weeks, they'd bloom and they'd stink like poo and rot. And that was the scent of my childhood, the sickly, sweet stench of paper whites. I found some other things. My birth certificate, no father listed, in a box with all these clippings from newspapers and magazines. All stories of the same man. Politician, married with kids, confident, charming. Not the sort to let anyone or anything disrupt his life. Well, I better get on with this. Not sure what to do with these bulbs. Throw them out, probably. I planted them, the bulbs. I thought, why not? I chucked them out, but I heard a voice in my head. Get them back. It boomed, so I did. Scooped them out of the rubbish with my bare hands. Their skin rough and flaky, like Mum's. She was always rubbing lotion into her hands. She worked so hard. We never had much, but she made sure I had what I needed the most. Decent clothes, money for class trips, music lessons. She herself would go without, but she never complained. She was clever, could cook and mend, made what money we had run in a market store on Portobello Road. We were a team. Anyway, I retrieved the bulbs, and as I stood there holding them, I thought, plant them and she'll come back. Simple as that. If I plant the bulbs, she'll return, walking through the door just like old times. I feel good about this. They're starting to grow. Every so often I pour a glass of vodka over them as my mother did. One for you, one for me, I'd say, and I'd down the glass myself. Things are pretty good, actually. The man in the newspaper clippings, so obvious. I've got his chin and his number from a journalist I know. When I rang, he knew exactly who I was. I'd only just said hello when he hung up on me, when I'd hoped he'd be glad to hear from me. Want to make up for lost time, but no. Well, that's okay. because I know exactly what to do to this man who got my mother pregnant and denied me. I'm going to the press. There are going to be a few more clippings. My mother is dead, but my father is alive, and I'm going to raise a stink. They grew, the paper whites. They bloomed for 2 weeks. The scent was incredible. It filled my flat. I'd go to sleep with that stench in my nostrils, as in childhood. It was like my mother was there. Ghostly white, like the flowers. A bit leggy. I'd wake and I think I saw her, sipping vodka and smiling. But there'd be nothing there. After a while, I thought, I have to find a way to deal with this. As if in confirmation, Mum appeared to me in a dream. It's time to move on, she said, gently. She hugged me. I could feel her arms, smell her sweet, rotting scent, the scent of earth and life and love. I woke. I realised I didn't need to crush this man who was my father, for he was no father. What I did do was apply for a course in horticulture, one of my dreams and something my mother would have wanted for me. I've made up my mind to do a lot of things to grow, like one of those bulbs. It's funny, things have a way of working out. I have a sister. Turns out I wasn't my father's only out-of-wedlock child. One morning I checked the headlines to find his face splashed all over the news, along with that of a woman claiming to be his daughter. I reached out. She was lovely. Her mum, as fierce as mine. We're friends now, family. And it's like my mother's here, still loving me.